and serve with us. And I'll tell you something else. When you look at our forms, when you look at the audits, which we put up for everybody to read, you look at our Form 990, and you look at all this, what you'll see that we've been invested in by philanthropic foundations. You'll see that charitable organizations have gotten behind us. You'll see Rotary clubs and Optimist clubs who serve with us. You see people have done chili cook-offs with us, and they've done fish fries for us, and people have encouraged their kids to come out and save their pennies and make a contribution to the mission continues. And when you get to the line that says government funded, you will see that it says $0 and 0 cents. What we want to set out to prove is that we can tackle important problems. We can do this together. We've got 2.6 million veterans who've set foot in Iraq and Afghanistan, who've gone overseas to defend our freedom. And we know how important it is that this generation of veterans be reintegrated here at home. And the way we solve that problem is by calling on families, and calling on strong churches, and calling on proud synagogues, and calling on communities, and civic organizations, and companies who are building prosperity in the free market. And we've come together, and that's how we were able to solve this problem. And what I know when I see people do this, is that they see that there's real hope for us. But just two weeks ago, I had 100 veterans and about 100 other volunteers from the community, and we were out in Ferguson. We went to Ferguson, and just 200 volunteers all got together, and we were building an outdoor classroom for kids in Ferguson so they could learn ecology and biology. They've got a place in Ferguson, in this outdoor classroom, where they got sheep and goats, so that these kids can actually learn where their food comes from, and they can actually see, they can learn about nature. What was incredible about this is you had all of these people who were coming out, and they were serving together. We were taking action to solve a problem in the community. There are other folks on the other side of another political persuasion. They have a commission. We have action. They have words and we have results. They have talk and we have teams. And we have people who are willing to step forward and to make a difference and to solve problems. And what was amazing about this is that everybody comes out to join us. Everybody comes out to serve. So if you were out there that day, it looked just like it looks like in the United States military. And we had black, white, Asian, Hispanic, everybody was out serving together. We had old and young serving together. We had rich and poor serving together. We had rural and urban and suburban. Everybody came out to serve together. And the other thing that was actually really cool, that if you'd asked people that night, what you would have also found is that we had Republicans who were out serving, and independents, and Democrats. And I gotta tell you, I love it when my liberal friends get excited about conservative solutions. But folks, we're here tonight to honor a great leader, Jim Lemke. And we can clap for Jim. We can keep clapping for Jim. I think it's nice, though. I think we would be remiss if at this time, if we just honored Jim and we didn't think about his example and what it means for all of us. Let's think just a little bit about what it means to lead. What it means to lead in our communities, in our state, for our country. You know, one of the best leadership lessons that I ever got was from a Marine. So I was a young Navy SEAL officer. This Marine came to me, and what he said was, he said, you have to understand that the Lance Corporal who's at the very back of your platoon, he said he's never going to know every detail of the intelligence briefings that you receive. That he might not understand every nuance of the operation, and he might not have been read into the whole strategic picture about what you're doing. But he said, one thing I can guarantee you for sure, that Lance Corporal at the back of the platoon He's going to know if you care about him. And for us to lead people, they have to know that we care about them. They have to know that we are out working for them and serving them because we can. The other thing people look for in leaders that Jim represents is that people need to know that they can trust their leaders. And that trust is built not only on a rock solid basis of integrity, but it's also built on a track record of creating results. When people are able to look at a leader like Jim, like many of the leaders who we have here in this room today, they're able to say, this is somebody who's created results for people. It allows them to trust. Because they know that this is someone who does more than talk. This is someone who serves. This is someone who invests their life with action to create the results for people. Now, the other thing that people need, I found, is that they also need leaders who are strong. So in my experience, whether it was building the mission continues, serving as a Navy SEAL, the work I did as a White House Fellow, the work I did with the families who lost their homes. I worked with kids who'd been abandoned and abused. I worked with a lot of people who'd been severely injured, with kids who had been severely injured and disabled. One of the things that I found is that people are looking for leaders who have both courage and compassion. And that is, of course, what we both need in our lives. Well, we need both of those, all of us, in our lives. So what you find is that compassion itself, while powerful and wonderful, is not enough. That we have to have courage to stand for our convictions. We have to have the courage to stand for our convictions, and without that, compassion falters. At the same time, what we also have to have, and if we bring that courage and we bring that strength, we need compassion to give us direction. We need to know always that we are all here, every single one of us, to serve a purpose that is larger than ourselves. And one of the things that I found is that when you're working with people in tough situations, I was honored, as Carl mentioned, I did a lot of work overseas before I joined the SEAL teams. So I worked in Cambodia with young kids who lost limbs to landmines. I worked in one of Mother Teresa's homes for the destitute and dying. I worked with kids who'd been abandoned and abused after war, genocide. And one of the things that I found is that when people are in tough situations, and you go to them, they know they're in a tough situation. What they don't need is somebody to explain to them just how bad things are. But that, unfortunately, is what you get a lot of times from Democrats. They're going to explain to you how bad things are. And truth be told, sometimes even we can get too focused on how bad things are. What people need, they know that things are tough. And the mom who comes home from working her job and has to take care of her kids and is taking care of an elderly parent and hasn't had a raise in 3 years, she knows that things are tough. And parents who come home and they need to take care of a kid who has special needs, they know that things are tough. And somebody who has something go wrong with their car breaks down, and immediately they have to say a prayer because they don't know where they're going to get the money to fix it, they know that things are tough. People know that things are tough. What they need from all of us, who are leaders in this room, they need to know that we have solutions. They need to know that we can help them. They need to know that there is a way out for them. And what I found is that when people are looking for leaders to solve problems, the key virtue that we all have to have as leaders is that we have to have humility. Because what humility allows us to do two things. Humility allows us to say, if I'm truly humble, I'm able to say, every single person is better than me in some way. I have something to learn from every single person around me, and what that also means is that every person who I see is able to make a contribution. Every person who I see is able to get involved and help us to create solutions. And the other thing that's beautiful about humility is it allows all of us, even when we lead, we need to be able to say sometimes when we're confronted with a tough problem, we should be able to say, I don't know. There's a real power in that. There's a real power in being able to say, I don't have an answer right now, but together, we can figure it out. Together, if we're focused on our values and our principles, together we can figure it out. Together we can find a way forward. And you know, what it also means is if we have that kind of humility, and we see that everybody can make a contribution, what it also means, and I would challenge all of you, is it means that every single one of us has a contribution to make. None of us can stand on the sidelines. Every single one of us is going to be required if we're going to find ways to move our community forward and move our state forward and move our country forward. You know, as many of you who are my friends know, I spend a lot of time, I have a lot of reverence for history. I think there's tremendous lessons that we can learn from our past. I think that all of us who are here in this room have tremendous reasons to actually look back with pride on American history. And when I look back, there's one lesson that I think of. This actually came to us from the very first citizen soldiers who defended the world's very first democracy. It comes from Greece. The world's very first citizen soldiers, they were called hoplites. They were called hoplites because every one of them carried they were called hoplites because every one of them carried a shield that was called the hopline. And the way they would defend each other and the way that they would stand up for their community is that they would go out in war and they would each one of them hold the shield such that it covered half of their body and half of the body of the person standing next to them. Now the key was when things got really difficult and really dangerous and really painful and people were afraid, they were afraid of losing their lives, they were afraid of being injured, the key was the line was only strong so long as every single person in that line was willing to stand and cover half of their neighbor's body. If just one person made a decision that they were going to focus only on themselves, the line would break. We become stronger, every single one of us, when we find ways to be of service in our community. And I think that it's really important as we look back. I always look back on some of the men and women who I served with. On June 28, 2005, a couple of the men who I was serving with, who I went through the SEAL team training with, were in Afghanistan. There was one guy, his name was Matt Axelson. Matt Axelson was part of a group of 4 Navy SEALs. If you've seen the movie Lone Survivor, read the book, you'll have read about my friends. Matt Axelson was in a firefight with the Taliban, and he and 3 other guys were pinned down. What happened that day was that a call went back for a quick reaction force to come in to rescue Matt Axelson, and Danny Dietz, and Mike Murphy, and Marcus Luttrell. And another one of my friends, James Sugg, got on the helicopter to fly in to rescue Matt Axelson that day. What happened was, as the helicopter was going in, it was shot down, and both Matt Axelson and James Sugg died that day. Now, I know if you were able to stop James Sugg at the moment that he was getting on the helicopter, and you'd be able to say to him, James, what are you doing right now? I guarantee you that James would not have said to you, I'm getting on this helicopter to win the global war on terrorism. He would not have said to you, I'm getting on this helicopter to defeat the Taliban. He would have said, I'm getting on this helicopter because my friend Matt Axelson needs you. We can change the world, our state, our communities, our neighborhoods when we make a commitment, every single one of us, that we're going to make a difference in somebody's life. And my belief is that all of us who are here tonight, like all of us have to remember every day that we have to live for more than ourselves. And if we're willing to do that, and if we're willing to step forward and to stand for the generations that are going to come, and they know that we stepped forward when times were tough and things were hard, and that we were stepping forward for them, they will have a legacy they will also be proud to carry on. But that can only happen if every single one of us who's in this room is willing to tap into that energy, challenge ourselves, live with courage, live with compassion, and decide that we are all going to make a difference. And for me, it is really an honor to be here with all of you tonight. It's an honor to be here to honor a great man like Jim Lemke. Thank you all very much for coming.